Well, it's martini time. See, I got a haircut today. So I just get a haircut, and I let it grow out. Everything grows for a couple of months, and then I whack it off and start over. The dying and resurrected hair. So, let's see where the monkey goes today. Now, I've been... what's in the news? Well, Hurricane Harvey's in the news. Trump is in the news. I'm in the news. I mean, this is my news. So let's put all three together now. I talked about the hurricane as to name your own hurricane. Je suis hurricane. You are the hurricane. How does this all come together? You see, those of you who are just dropping in, I've renamed myself as a Martini priest, and this is the Eucharist, but this is a metaphorical description. I'm not really a priest, and this is really not the Eucharist, but it's a metaphor for it. So it's this Martini is the blood and flesh, the olive and the blood. And this is a communion or Eucharist in the sense that if you drink the martini, there is with me, there is a transubstantiation of everyday facts into insight. Oh, I see something. So that's the whole point of the Eucharist, really. It's a transubstantiation or transformation of you into something greater. Of course, in the Mass, it's into the Christ, the body of Christ. But in you, it's your center. It's your true center, and not your false center. So let's get into that now. We talked about the hurricane, and we all know what a hurricane looks like. From above, it's a swirling force field with an eye, and it goes around and around the eye, and it moves. It's a dynamic unity in history. See, we just see it as an object, a thing. It's stationary. There's a picture of it. But if you were to look at it over a time lapse, it would be woo, and it would be a dynamic unity, you see. And that's who we are. That's my cat. I used to hang out with spiritualists, and whenever you said something that seemed to want that if I were a spiritualist now, I would say, "Oh, the cat affirmed what I just said." Or if you say something in a doorbell and a phone rings, "Oh, affirmation." Or if you're evangelicals, "Oh, thank you, Jesus." Affirmation. Anyway, I digress. So the point is, we're getting a visual look at a hurricane that has an eye, a center. And the center integrates all the forces, and all the forces and fragments and little clouds and drops and energies and all that, you see, gets sucked into the gravitational field, this centripetal. I don't know if it's centripetal or centrifugal, or if it's both working together. But anyway, this force field then becomes movable, and as long as it goes over warm water, it's sustained. If it goes over ground, it begins to dissipate. So if we use this metaphor now for our ego, our self, our mind, like a mind. Okay, a mind is a force field, right? And your mind, my mind, integrates all the data surrounding it as a reference to me as the center. You get the idea? Each of us has a center, and all the data that our senses report, eyes report, taste reports, ears, touch, hearing, all of them report data in their own field to the center, the eye. And the I, or me, integrates it and gives it meaning. So it's not just a snowstorm of data. That would be psychosis or an LSD trip. No. The center integrates the data in the story of me. And me has a history. And me has a memory. And me has a future. Me has a story. And that integrates the data as I move through time. As I move through time, everything that happens gets integrated in my force field and gets related to the hub that's me, you see, the I. But in our ego world, the I is opaque. The I is not clear. The I is a thing. The I is a form, a me, that exists in time, that exists in the past, that exists in the future. I don't know how long. But anyway, it exists on a horizontal flat line. It began when I was born. It goes woo, 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 gathering storm, gathering force, and then maybe at 50 or 60 it begins to lose force. Ooh, that's called retirement. And it goes whoa, 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 you see. So it goes little breeze, little bitty inception. And it goes whoa, 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 oops, gone. You see? That's us. But that's called, in Buddhism, it's called the wheel of samsara. Why? Because it dies. It's born and it dies. And that creates fear. And that creates a boundary between me and you. Me and it, you see. So the hurricane, me, the hurricane Ed Conley, exists from birth to death, woo, 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 as a boundary. Because the world out there, and often the world is against me. And all these other hurricanes are blowing around. If you get up real far and look at the human history, the human ground, there are all these little hurricanes, me's, whirling around, bumping into each other, combining into bigger ones. Yes, combining. Because if you're just a little hurricane by yourself, you're just going to get sucked up and overrun by the big. So you get into groups, you get into religions, you get into cults, you get into political parties, you get into armies, you get into gangs, ideologies. All hurricanes, all with a center. And the bigger ones suck up the little ones. Look at history. The Roman Empire was a big hurricane. It sucked up all the barbarian states. And then the Holy Roman Empire came. Church, a big hurricane. Sucked up all the pagan religions. And so we've had big historical hurricanes. You see, so Napoleon, big hurricane, sucked up all the countries. Hitler, big hurricane, sucked up all the countries. Is America a big hurricane, sucking up all the countries? Communism, big hurricane, sucking up all the countries. Is America trying to suck up all the countries? But then these hurricanes always have new forms. You don't know. You can't really see them because they never existed before. The pattern exists. The pattern of the hurricane exists, but the hurricane itself, the content is new. So we don't recognize it very often. And in Cold War, you had two hurricanes equal. Communism, wow, wow, wow. Us, America, capitalism, wow, wow, wow. Two hurricanes like that, you see. Getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Christianity and Islam, two hurricanes, wow, 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 wow. You could seek them everywhere. Husband and wife, two hurricanes, wow, 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 wow. You and your neighbor having an argument, two hurricanes, wow, 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 wow. Where can you go that a hurricane is not? But all of them have an eye. All of them have an eye, you see. So what is the spiritual journey? What is this spiritual journey, this quest for inner peace, for the end to war? What is this quest for the end to conflict? It's a quest for the end of the hurricane. And where is the end of the hurricane? Well, if you look at a real hurricane, it's in the eye. There is no hurricane in the eye. The eye is clear. The sun comes out. There's not a breeze. The birds sing. The flowers bloom. It's an oasis. It's a Garden of Eden. Clarity. Of course, in a real hurricane, you better get back inside because the other half of the donut is going to pass over you. But the metaphorical look at it is that in the ego hurricane, it's opaque, it's a thing, it's a me. It's a symbol, it's a cross, it's a flag. You see, the Confederate flag is the eye of a southern hurricane, but it's a symbol. You see. So every hurricane, well, the American hurricane has the Washington Monument. You know, all of its little, Washington, all of those symbols. The South has its eyes, you see. So every hurricane has an eye. Otherwise, the data, the information just goes all over the place, you see. So it's the eye, the center, the false idol, the flag, the Bible. All of the gods hold the force field together, you see, and give us a place. When you're in a force field, you have a place. You have energy. You have a promise. You have a purpose. You have meaning. If you're just a little breeze out there, you got nothing. You want to get into a force field. It's doing something. The problem with getting into a force field that's doing something is that there are other force fields that are trying to suck you into it. The conservatives and the liberals, two force fields, right? So this country for the last 4 years, 50 years, has been a civil war of two force fields, each trying to suck up the other. So there is one. That's what hurricanes want to do. Let there be one. That was what Napoleon wanted. That's what Hitler wanted. Let there be one. That ends the wheel of samsara. That ends the suffering, the conflict. That ends it all. Let there be one, and let it be me. You see? Let it be me. Then there's no more conflict, no more problem. I'll restore America to me. Let there be me. So Trump is a hurricane. He's the eye of the hurricane, around which all the facts integrate. My story is news. Your story is fake. Two hurricanes. You see. So, another way to look at this too, staying with the metaphor, just a little digression. When I wrote for the Courier, I wrote a story about bridge in Blackstone. Bridge used to be a big thing in Blackstone. All the women, of course, women didn't work then, so they played bridge, had bridge parties. And I remember writing a story about them, and they would send, one of the very important thing was, when you were hosting a bridge party, you carried out the color scheme. You had the color of the napkins, the flowers, the plates. You carried out the color scheme, or color theme, you see. Carry out the color theme. I just thought that was a great metaphor, carrying out the color theme. So, I forgot what I was saying. Let me go back to my martini here. So, we're playing with the idea that Trump wants to restore America, so there's only one hurricane with Trump in the eye. Because we've been locked in a Cold War of hurricanes, value hurricanes for 50 years. Liberal values, conservative, Republican values. They are contradictory. Nobody knows what they are, but whatever they are, they're not the other one. That's basically how you define them. Well, I don't know who I am, but I'm not Obama. So my values are not your values. So that way we create two hurricanes, each one trying to be the hurricane that ends suffering, that restores America to the one, you see. We're the one, right? That's the hurricane. That's the sports. We're the one. This is all temporary. The dream is to have permanent oneness, not temporary, not just today, not just this year when my team won. See, that's all a game. We know that. But in the game of life, we all want permanent peace, permanent satisfaction, the permanent end to conflict with other hurricanes. And so the only way we think we can get that is to be the one that eats up and consumes and absorbs all the other little storms, you see, into a great big circling one, you see. But the problem with that is that the one is a thing. The one is a form. The one is a false idol. And it dies. It dies, you see. It's temporary. Nothing lasts. Everything has its own lifespan, you see. So why invest your soul in something that's going to die? But we're being trained to do this. The advertisement says that if you buy this product, you will be, and that's what the picture says, permanently satisfied. You will be joyous, like these people in the ad. You'll no longer have any pain, no more suffering, no more seeking. Buy this, and you will be at peace and joyous forever and ever and ever. That's the subliminal message. Of course, we know that's not true, but the subliminal message is that if you buy this product, you will be at peace and satisfied, you see. So every corporation creates a hurricane, a brand that wants to absorb all the other brands. So you get all these, like all the car companies, Ford, GM, all these are different hurricanes, and all of them try, with all of their might, to suck up all the other ones, so there's just one left, you see. And that's what they all want to do, but of course they can't because there's checks and balances. It's called competition, free market. It's supposed to keep one product from being the whole, you see. So there's always these checks against one being the whole. But see, this is the confusion of the mind with the heart. The heart is seeking something different than the mind, but the mind, in its trance of form, believing everything is a thing, translates everything into things. Looking at my watch to see how long I've been talking here. See what I mean? To the mind, in our Western culture, everything is a thing. Everything is matter. Everything is form. So if you're a hammer, everything you see is a nail. So if you're a mind in our culture, everything you see is a thing. But things die. Things are impermanent. They don't last. But the heart wants something permanent. It wants something, it has a great expectation. The heart has a great expectation. The heart wants to find permanent satisfaction. The heart wants to find God that doesn't die. See? The heart wants to find deathless. The heart wants to find timelessness. The deathless state. So that's what the heart wants. But the mind, conditioned by society, translates that into form. So let's finish up with getting back to the hurricane. And you got the image of the hurricane with the eye. And the eye is me. And I'm 80 years old, and I can look back on my life, and I can see the stages of my hurricane. I can track my hurricane as it moved in its journey to get rid of the I or the me. The journey to get rid of that opaque, solid sense of me that is always feeling something is wrong. Something's out of sort. I'm missing something. What am I missing? Something is wrong, you see. The sense of separation, exile, I want to be home. Exile. From my life, from my experience, the sense of exile. So the heart wants to be home. We all understand that feeling, to be home. Where is home, you see? But we think, the mind thinks home is in a place, in a product, in a political party, in a political leader, in a religion, or tomorrow, in the promised land, or even death, a better place. That's home. One day I'll be home, in a better place. I'll be dead. Well, that's a gamble. So anyway, as we drink through our martini, as we drink through this Eucharist, I hope you're getting a sense that that the view from the mind creates hurricanes, and the I, being a me, opaque, it's solid, has a history. You see, a me, a thing in time. Me is a thing in space-time, has a birth and a death. It's a thing, you see. But the real I of me, the real I of you, is clear. Is clear. There's nothing there. There's just awareness, just consciousness. Awareness before it becomes form. So the whole spiritual process, and if you're listening to me, you must be interested in it. Otherwise, you'd think I was stupid, just gobbledygook, or you wouldn't even tune in. So the spiritual process is to make the opaque me transparent. The opaque me, the solid me, the me with a history, the me with pain, the me with shame, the me with guilt, transparent. So it's clear. And you see the ground. You see, the idea here is if the hurricane has an opaque eye, you can't see the ground. So what supports the hurricane with the opaque me? Ignorance. The turning away from the ground. The turning away from the truth. So when you begin to open that eye and it begins to be transparent, and this is a gradual process, an awakening. It's like the eye of a camera. You know, it opens, you know, it's like the aperture increases. The eye opens, you let in more light, you let in more data, you let in more reality. And the little speck, the dust speck, the ego becomes a little dust speck. The ego becomes a little floater, a net. You know, I got dust, I got floaters. Sometimes I think, oh, there's a bug here. No, it's in my eye. So you see where we're moving here, like the eye becomes opaque to unconscious to consciousness. And as it becomes conscious, it sees the ground of reality, this moment as it really is. And as you see this moment as it really is, the force of the hurricane dissipates. It can't last on the ground of reality. It only lasts and gains strength on the sea of ignorance, on the willful turning away from the truth of who you are. That God dwells within you as you. You see. So and in Christianity, it's got sin and ignorance. In Buddhism, sin and both of them are really turning away from the source, turning away from God, turning away not from something out there. That's another eye in the hurricane. If God is just out there, it's just another thing that holds a hurricane together called religion. There has to be a shift where the eye becomes in you. You are the eye of the hurricane. You are the center of your world. You are the clarity and the awareness of the self that has no boundaries, that has no limitations. And you're very portable. So now, wherever you go, you're home. Wherever you go, you're home, you see. So anyway, thank you for dropping in. And I'll see you in the morning.